her body, as if they're going through some anatomy class like we might do in medical school, poking and prodding and talking about parts of her body. It was bad enough for her to see herself exposed like this and helpless like this. But then she was removed from the tube of light. She was put on a slanted vertical table of some sort, and she was restrained upon that table. One of the reptilian beings who had been examining her came up to her and began a sex act with her. She was very terrified. She began crying out mentally because she couldn't do it physically, crying out to God and to Jesus, in whom she has deep religious faith, to make this stop, to not let her be raped. But the being continued to rape her, and then a second one did the same thing, and then a third one, and then a fourth. Lisa felt all the pain and all the shame of rape, and she also felt abandoned by her God. These were the feelings that she had when she was returned to the car, and that's why she was in such hysterics and feeling so abandoned. And for years afterwards, her sexuality was repressed, there was problems with this, and she had no idea consciously why, after that point, everything about her sexuality seemed to change. Now, Lisa's is just one case out of several recent investigations in which the initially recalled memories under hypnosis appear quite benevolent, quite uplifting. But they seem to be acting as a screen or a cover for something very different going on underneath at some other level of reality. Now, the debate about aliens' ultimate motivations is an ongoing debate. Are they here to help us? Are they using us to crossbreed, to regenerate their own species, or to produce some new kind of species from the two of us? Are they here to elevate our psychic awareness? Are they planning to rescue us from the coming destruction? These are questions we hear asked a lot dealing with the abduction phenomenon and ET phenomena in general. And in trying to answer these questions, I would just caution us to consider all the data. Any theory that doesn't account for all the data cannot be valid. We may want to trust that the aliens are benevolent. I know I do want to trust this. We may believe they're spiritually superior to us, but I think we have to be very cautious. I put it this way to myself: do angels have to come in the dark and deceive and paralyze us? I think that's a valid question. Do angels need to steal fetuses? Do they need to manipulate our genitals and probe our rectums? Do they have to terrorize our children? Do they have to inflict great pain upon us? Is deception consistent with high spiritual motives? And if so, I would like to understand how. A Native American spiritual leader who resides not too far from this area, in fact, was recently asked on a retreat to discuss what she thought was going on with UFOs and with ETs. She replied that there are several races, from her understanding from the tradition of the Native American, that there are several races of beings currently on this planet, that some of them have good motivations and some of them do not. She said we should not think of them as perfect or spiritual beings because they were restricted and physical just as we are, carrying out their own agenda that has nothing to do with the benefit of mankind. Now, I think we would be wise to listen to her words, and I would very much like to thank you for listening to mine. Yes, we have, Ellen says we have about 10 minutes left before the break. If there is anyone who would like to pose a question, I'll do my best to answer it. Oh my.
You don't know what to ask, Karla.
Pardon, you don't know what to ask?
What can we say?
Well, either I did a terribly good job or a terrible job, so. I'm aware that some people doing research that's been published have come across some of these details. I think we're all doing abduction research in it since it's parallel, but I don't know why we're not getting more reports. We hear them off record. We don't find them in the record. Yes?
In a closing statement, you need caution to look at all of the, and as I remember what I heard, I don't remember hearing a great deal of information that points specific experiences that were positive, that left specific positive outcomes.
Well, the reason I didn't do that, you're right, I didn't because that's already out there. That's available. I wasn't trying to give the whole picture, I was trying to widen the picture. That's already available. You can find it in ample publications and ample reports. I'm trying to bring the part that we don't find so often. I'm not saying that's all of it, it's just a part we're not very familiar with.
I may be a little behind time to know where some of that information that is available.
That's positive?
Yeah.
Oh, there's all sorts of channeled material that's very positively oriented. There are cases like Lisa's that look at hypnosis and come out with a spiritually uplifting scenario. These are reported many times. Betty Andresen's material, for one, comes to mind. This is available. This other material I've tried to talk about tonight is just not as available, and I'm simply trying to balance the picture a little bit.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, yeah, if look and make that comment, I really wanted to be able to say, okay, I'm looking for some else, and I'd like to see.
Well, I think you'll find that positive data is out there. If you just do a scan of the literature, there's a lot of it. Yes?
There seems to be an obvious fact that there's dualistic influences here because you have on the one hand crop circles, you have on the other hand calendar.
Right.
One brings forth beauty and aesthetic, the other.
You know, I've thought about this, and this duality has always bothered me. I wonder, and I'm trying to phrase the question in an aggressive way for myself. Would an essentially benevolent force, even, and for one thing, let me back up a minute. These things may be imagined experiences. They may be scenes and experiences that are deliberately put into our minds that we never really saw or went through. So I asked myself, and that may be on both the positive and negative side, would an essentially benevolent source need to give us these grisly experiences? Why? Or would an essentially negative force profit by giving us false positive memories? Which makes the most sense to me? You know, I just ask it on human logic, and that's all I've got.
I'd like to speak to this remark about the mutilation of cattle. There's a book out called Out